Hey guys, why aren't we prepared for grief? Why are we not prepared for grief? There should definitely be grief classes throughout school, just like there are sexual education, just like we have math classes, history, physical health, all those things. We should have a grief class. And not just grief about someone passing away, because while that is one of the hardest forms of grief, there's grief in other things, grief and, divorce, grief and, being raised in a single family home, grief and, the maybe violence, domestic violence or family violence, or, there's grief in all those things. You feel like, you lose a part of yourself and you don't really know who you are anymore when you are going through those emotions and those feelings. So, guys, many of you know I lost my father and during COVID 2021. And while many people think I'm doing really well now, I'm not. Not at all. I struggle so much every day to keep it together. And that's because, grief fights back, man. Grief has a freaking swing on it that people do not really talk about it. I mean, it will snatch you up out your sleep. It will snatch you out of a joyful experience. It will snatch you out of, a loving moment. It will snatch you from all of those things to remind you that this person is no longer with you, that you can no longer send a text message or a call to them. You can no longer hear their voice in real time. All these people creating these AI photos of their loved ones, recreations of their voices, But the thing is, that will never be real. And for someone like me who grew up believing that people never really died, and I know that sounds crazy, but I can clearly remember getting in trouble when I was younger when my mom received a phone call saying that her grandmother had passed away. And my mom was really sad and everyone was like, oh my gosh. And I started laughing. And I think I was maybe like 6 at that time. So they couldn't be too upset with me, right? I started laughing. And they were like, why are you laughing? This is serious. I'm like, because they said she died and people don't really die. Why are you joking? Like, I literally thought like people didn't actually die. Like people didn't go away after they died. I'm just like, people don't die. That's not reality. But I think that was part of growing up in a Christian home and, being talked to about the afterlife and being talked to with, being able to live forever in heaven. And, people, you really need to explain those things to children because I really did not get it. And it really messed me up so much more later in life, especially when one of my brother's friends had passed away from an accident in high school. And, seeing my brother going through that, I didn't go to the funeral. I always told myself I never wanted to go to a funeral unless it was one of my parents. Like that was something I had always stuck to. I didn't want to go to any friends' funerals. I didn't want to go to my any relatives' funerals. I think I did possibly go to a funeral when I was younger. I don't remember being at a funeral, but if I did, maybe I went with my family. I don't know. But the only funeral I remember attending is my dad's. And even then, I wasn't in physical attendance. I was in online attendance. And, my friends have asked me, Ren, do you think you would feel differently if you had, been able to go to your dad's funeral? Do you think it would be less challenging for you? Dealing with grief? And I said no, because I don't feel any resentment or any any type of way for not being physically present at the funeral. I mean, what would I have done at the funeral? I would have just cried. The same thing I did in my own freaking apartment. And I was able to see it. I was able to send love and support via the chat. So it was like being there. I did kind of wish that I would have asked them to read something from me. I didn't think about it. I didn't think about it. But at the same time, I know that it would have been the same thing. I would have been there sitting in the chair thinking like, oh, why didn't I think about reading something, or why didn't I think about getting up and speaking? But I didn't think about that. And, and to be, to be quite honest, I think it would have been a bigger burden for my family if I were there, in a sense, because I know how I was, on the phone when they told me my dad passed. I was like, I had a feeling you guys were going to tell me that. I don't know why. I feel like, God was kind of preparing me in the days prior to. And when they told me like his oxygen had went back up, my mom had told me that. And then I said, okay, Lord, I guess it's not time yet. And then getting a call back, and I said, oh, I don't like the feeling of this call. And as soon as I answered, knowing that it was my brother and my sister on the line, I already knew. They were giving me the news. And in that moment, I just thought of what my dad had told me prior, when I had got the job that I was at. And he had told me like, hey, Karen, this job is a blessing. Like, work it. You needed this money. This job is a blessing. Do it to the best of your ability. And, to where they'll want to work with you again. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do that. And so I told them, oh, they just told me my dad's going to pass away. Something happened, his oxygen's back down. And they even asked me, they were like, do you want to go home? I said, no, I would feel better staying and working with the students. And I honestly think that was the best thing could happen at that moment. But I know for sure, like, I don't think I would have been able to handle my dad's funeral and seeing my mom, the way she was. And, I just, I think it was good that I was here, having to tell Lily, my daughter, her father passed, and she, she's so young. She didn't really get it, and I had to, I had a breakdown on the street, guys, a breakdown on the street, thankfully by a church. And the pastor was like, just come in, just sit down. Like, here's some juice, here's some water. Like, if you need anything else, let us know. We'll take care of you. And I just, I was just falling apart. And, that same feeling as telling my daughter my dad passed away, or hearing that my father passed away, it hits me. It hits me hard. Sometimes just doing anything, cooking, rolling out of bed, because I had talked to my dad so much in the past, like, year and a half, like daily speaking to my dad, that it had become a part of my daily routine. And to lose that part of my routine, it's so hard, guys. It's so hard. And, now we're at 2025, 4 years later, and I'm still trying to work through it. I'm still trying to get how to function after all this time. And, can I say it got better? No. No, I can't. Because some days it still feels like the first day, and other days, I'm just coasting. So yeah, grief sucks. And I think it's important for everyone to, be real about it, to help each other get through the loss and get through the hurt and the pain of that. And sending you all lots of love, and I hope you guys are